Welcome to Single Parent Success Stories, a podcast designed to inspire single parents. Here you'll find resources from self-care to finances to parenting and everything in between. Discover what it takes to thrive. Let the stories inspire you to what is possible. Welcome to Single Parent Success Stories. Today's guest is mom of two from Australia. She is the Graceful Integrity Leader, a teacher, coach, and energy healer. It is a pleasure to have you. Welcome, Tanya.
Thank you very much, Irina. It's lovely to be here.
Thank you. So please share with us your story, who you are.
So well, as you said, I'm a mum of two. I currently have a partner, which is lovely. I've been the father of my children I haven't been with for maybe 12 or 13 years. Previous to that, most of my life I've been a primary school teacher. I've always worked with children, and I've been in that arena. Started that back in England, and I worked there for a number of years and loved that, and eventually came back to Australia and had my children, who are now 16 and 18 years old. And I was teaching here and working with children with lots of trauma and grief background, and they'd experienced some hardships, and so their families. And I found myself more drawn to the women or the matriarch in the family, the female role model. And I found myself doing a lot more support in the family sense than I was as a teacher in the school. And I was really connected to their stories and really interested in helping them heal, because I felt if they could find a way to honour themselves more and look after their own well-being, then actually that would spin off to the kids I was teaching, and it would be of more benefit to the children. Because what I observed is that they were always putting the kids first. They would never put themselves first. And I could see how that was depleting their energy and, just their ability to be. So that led me to a path now where I'm creating my own clientele. But my business now is working with women and actually men. I've had men approach me as well for coaching and healing, just to help them get to a place where, they feel dissatisfied, they have unresolved grief, they have anxiety or depression or whatever it might be. So through various modalities that I've learned, that's where I've landed now and I love it, because I enjoy seeing the growth and the change in people for the better, and it comes from the inside, and when it does that, then they really do start to flourish. So that's where I am. And I am still doing a little bit of teaching as well, just because I enjoy it. I'm in schools 2 days a week working with little children, which is very rewarding, very rewarding. So I'm balancing the two and parenting. Obviously, I'm still parenting. So, yeah, it's a very full life.
Beautiful, beautiful. I love it. Thank you. What are you passionate about?
The thing I'm most passionate about, and mainly obviously through my growth, my learning and my growth, is for people, and women especially, to have a deeply connected relationship with themselves. And that is where the journey I've been on, is to find the piece that I always thought was missing. And I should backtrack, because I remember times when I was younger and I would look in the mirror and speak to myself and say, who are you, Tanya? Who are you? Who are you? And then I'd walk along the street and I'd be thinking, who am I? And when you have those moments where you feel like everything's lined up and it's all good. You're getting along with your parents and you're loving your house or whatever it is, everything's going really well with it. You just feel like there's something missing. And I always felt that. And it wasn't until I started working on who I am just releasing the need for everything else to be the thing that made me feel whole. And then I started working on that. That's when I really woke up. And that's what I'm passionate about, is helping other people do the same.
Thank you. Thank you. I think it's beautiful. And yeah, oftentimes we neglect ourselves, and what a better way to get there, but take care of the inner thing that is happening. And I had that who am I question after my breakup, because I lost my identity as a result of a relationship. I was someone else's wife, I was someone else's mom, but who was I didn't know anymore, and I had to rediscover. And I think it's important to know your identity. It gives clarity to the life you're living and where you're going.
100%. Yeah, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Oh no, it's interesting that the question about identity is, you know, if I ask that even to myself now, some days it depends where the priority is. And when I ask other people the same question, they say, oh well, I'm Georgia, I'm a mother, I'm an accountant, I'm a daughter, I'm a this, I'm a that. And we all tend to relate it to who we are to other people. And it's that external, I guess it's a bit of that external validation of making us feel whole according to everybody else. So even now, if someone says, who are you? I'm like, oh, well, I just am. Like I'm me, but then if I say, and then I go, well, I'm Tanya, but I'm not my name. So I love that question, because I still haven't got to the bottom of it, the identity. But yeah, it's a big one.
I guess it's all about, because we create labels. That's how we make meaning of our life. We need a label for everything.
Yeah, 100%.
When you were growing up, did you have a hero growing up, or a role model?
Yeah, I guess it was both my mum and dad. I can't really immediately think of anyone outside of my family circle who I idolized. And I really didn't like. I didn't ever really put anyone on a pedestal. So probably dad more when I was younger. Now that you're making me think about it, he was. Well, both of them were very healthy and fit and into nature and growing their own veggies and activity. And I'm the oldest of 4 children, and we were, you know, always doing things. We were always out. But dad was a university lecturer, and he's an architect, and he was a rowing coach. And I could see the passion he had for those things. And he's a leader. And I actually followed in his footsteps as far as the rowing as a sport. I followed him, and I did that. And then I became a rowing coach. And it was all really inspired by seeing the joy he got out of it. And also I guess he gained a lot of respect, because he was really good at it, really good at connecting with people. So yeah, my dad.
Nice. What was the quality that you admired about your dad?
Number one that comes to mind is generosity. He's a generous man with his time. As in, he would ring and say, is there anything I can do to help you? And so it was never about physical gifts or, you know, things. It was always that generous with his time.
I think those are the best kinds. You can't like, if it's physical possessions, you can't really take them with you when you pass on, but it's those qualities that we learn from one another the most beneficial.
And I think that's why he was so effective as a coach and a lecturer and a teacher, is because you and I both know this, is that when we hold space for people and they feel that they're loved and it's unconditional and we're there to help them, we get better results. And I always found that as a teacher as well. when I just accepted each person for who they were and just loved what they presented, or, you know, how they engaged with me, they always responded with good results. It's the best way. Yeah.
What makes you happy?
So many things make me happy. Here's my top one. I love the beach. I love a sunrise or a sunset looking at the horizon. That makes me very happy. But lots of other things make me happy too. Spending time with my family, laughing, you know.
I love sunrises as well. I think there's something magical in being able to see the day being born and being right there, being present when it happens. You feel like you didn't miss anything. What would you say is your superpower if you had to pick one?
I would say my superpower is, and I've discovered recently as I've developed this relationship with myself, is, and learned to trust myself and my intuition, is that I have a certain knowing about people when I work with them. I have an instinct about maybe some of their story or where they're coming from, or what it is I feel that they need in that moment. So I would say that's my superpower, and I guess it's also connected with empathy and compassion. I've always treated every person as a unique individual. I don't believe that we are separate. I believe we are all the same on the inside. So I don't ever distinguish between people for anything really. So yeah, treating people as I treat myself.
I love that. I think intuition is important, and oftentimes we don't. We rather trust other people, figures of authority in our life, than ourselves. We feel we need a justification, or we don't have enough knowledge or experience to listen to our inner voice and figure out what is working or not.
True, and I think the way that our society still is that we're also conditioned to question, and that's when we don't listen to our intuition, because we think we've got all of this conditioning, and then we don't listen, we don't trust ourselves, and then we start questioning, and that's when we start going off track, because we're not being true to ourselves.
Yeah. What is the smallest thing you've done that had the biggest impact in your life so far?
Smallest thing I've done. Well, it started out small, but it's turned into big. I started going to yoga like 9 years ago, and I've always loved to keep physically fit and well, and I went and I didn't like it because I got a hot yoga, and at the time it was just one more thing that I was doing. But after 6 months of pushing myself to keep going, I ended up loving it, and the benefits have been, that has had the biggest impact on me than anything. The physical benefits, of course, but mainly the mind-body connection and my ability to, stay calm, stay at ease. It's all about flow. Yoga is all about flow, and so is life. So yes, it's had a massive impact on me. In fact, my family encouraged me to go. Mum, are you going to yoga today? I think you need a yoga class. It's a good thing.
What would you say to people who don't do any physical activity?
Well, we need to move our bodies. We need to move our bodies to move our energy, and it doesn't. I think there is something for everybody. And with physical activity, it doesn't have to be running a marathon or climbing up really steep hills. I mean, I haven't run a marathon. I really dislike running. I tried it yesterday. I'm not very good at it. But I just think there is something for everyone, and yoga is fairly gentle, but there are so many things you can do. But the main thing about physical activity is that it shifts energy, it moves energy, and it clears everything out. And especially if we go outside and do it, forget the gym. Don't go to the gym unless you're in, an icy cold country and it's freezing. But get outside into nature and let the sun shine on you and get active. Yeah.
Yeah, you're so right. I love that, because when we're outside, we're not just exercising our body, we are clearing our mind. We get to connect with nature. We get to clear everything up, and it instantly feels better. Even like when I feel sick or when I feel not good, I go outside and it's nice chill air, immediately feel refreshed. So
it's so true. And it's almost like, even if there's a breeze, it's almost like it blows things out of you. Yeah. And even better, you take your shoes off. Take your shoes off and ground on the earth. That's massive as well.
Yeah.
Makes a big difference.
What is your go-to self-care practice?
What is my goal?
No, your go-to self-care practice. How do you take care of yourself? Your number one thing. What can you not live without?
Meditation.
Okay.
Yeah, 100% meditation. I could talk for hours about meditation, but the one thing is to quiet the mind and just be the observer of the thoughts. And the only reason I meditate, the main reason I've meditated is to be in the practice of observing my thoughts. So I can catch myself when I'm on we get on that little trail of negativity and it builds from a small thing to a big thing. I've been very keen to learn how to halt that, how to stop that from happening. So my number one is meditation. 5 minutes a day or an hour and a half, it doesn't matter. The time doesn't matter. It's just the practice.
Yeah, you're so right. We need to take care not of just body, but our mind as well. And meditation is a great tool to have. Practice, not for others, but for yourself.
100%.
What is your mission?
My mission is to bring more joy into people's lives, is to show people how to consistently live joyously, not pretend, not to have the glossy exterior and say I'm okay and everything's fine and I'm happy. And yes, maybe momentarily they are, or maybe an experience makes them happy, but real joy coming from the inside out is my mission. I think I just lost your, I couldn't hear that.
Oh, no.
Oh, I can now. Sorry, the microphone went.
What do you think is the most important trait to instill in a child?
In a child? Self-worth. So that they don't have to go looking for that somewhere else.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, I think it's the most important. Like the stuff they teach in school, I think self-worth is missing. There is all the grammar and the math and history and all that. And then after you leave school, if you don't have that important component, thing is.
Yeah, definitely. And there are ways to incorporate that in all of the curriculum, but that's not something that can be trained in Teachers College. I think educators need to have, a connection to their own intuition and an instinct too. So when we compliment a child on something, it's just about the wording, right? It's got to be more about giving them a sense of self rather than the thing that they've just showed you. So that they know that they can achieve that effort they put into that, they can put into anything. It doesn't matter what the task is, it just matters how they do it. So yeah, there's a lot of room for wellness education. Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. What kind of you mentioned that how you call it, because your spouse was traveling a lot, you mostly worked like a single parent, even though you were together. What kind of challenges did you face during that time?
Well, that is the current one. So that he's the person I've been. No, he's not the father of my children, but he's yeah, we've been in a relationship for more than 10 years. And yes, he's worked away. So I had left my ex-husband when my kids were really little. And I did about 2 years of navigating life on my own with them, but I was pretty determined to do that. I found a fire in my belly that I hadn't seen before. Like I felt like this massive determination. And, I guess that instinct that I'm not going to speak for fathers because I'm not a man, but that I know that mothers have is like when you need to be the lioness, when you need to be the protector and the provider, that even if you hadn't seen it before, it's inside you. And just when you need it to come out, that's what I found. It was just like, whoa, where did that come from? And I'm like, oh, there's all these things I can do that I had never even considered that I could do or should do, because we go 50-50. We let them do all the man things, whatever. I was really proud of myself because I just set my sight on things and said, right, I need to put this in place, this in place, this in place. And no one was going to take me off that path of determination. And that set me up really well because then, yeah, so my partner now, he has always worked away. So essentially I have really single parented for most of their lives. Like I've been the dad and the mum, the male, the female, the masculine, the feminine. I've been way too in my masculine because, that's just how we have to be. Yes, I look, there have been times where I've really resented that and found some parts of it difficult. But then luckily I've been interested in this journey of personal growth. So I've been able to look at it and think, well, how is that developing me? What is it teaching me about myself? And, how's it a benefit to my children that they get me most of the time and they get their dad separately? And it's just, it's life. Like, make the best of it or complain about it. And I'm just not going to be a complainer. I just need to find the way to make it work. Yeah.
Good. What kind of advice would you give to single parents who are just stepping onto that journey?
Absolutely. Number one is that there is always someone who will listen. There is always someone who'll see you, and there is always someone who'll support you. Even when, and we've all done this, even then when we think there's no one, it's normally because we are protecting ourselves and we don't want to share, or we feel worried about being judged or implicated or whatever it might be. There is always someone, and it might not be in your immediate family or immediate circle, but there is always someone to support you.
Yep. So true. And we can form circles. If we have no supporting circles, we can form those circles by pursuing a hobbies. Oftentimes we think hobbies are for kids, but I think they are for adults as well, because this is how we discover the hidden parts of ourselves we didn't know we had, and we can discover talents we might have.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Do you have a hobby?
A hobby? Oh my goodness. Which one do you want me to tell you about?
Your favorite one?
I'm not good at keeping up with my hobbies regularly, but I'm really creative. I like making things. I can look at an example of how to do something once, and then I can do it. I don't know how, but and usually it's a making thing. It's like an art or craft type of thing. So recently, in the lead up to Christmas, I ran a workshop for making a Christmas wreath put on the front door with my mum, and I thought, oh, I'm quite good at that too. So, but it's just because I love that, right? I love making. I love creating things. I'm not an artist, but yes, that's a hobby for sure.
I think that's amazing. Creating new things is incredible. I love creating things from scratch as well.
Yeah, and it's so satisfying, like just to start with a blank canvas or whatever it is, and then seeing your end result, and you just, yeah, it's really, makes you feel good.
Yeah, yeah. How do you help people, being that you are teaching them how to be leaders and how to live with integrity?
So living with integrity it's firstly about helping people get into touch with themselves and have a self relationship, and that starts with extreme self-care. So looking, like some of the questions you asked me to start with, how do they look after themselves? What are they really doing to ensure that their well-being is the best it can be every day? So one of the first things is we all have habits that we've instilled in our lives, and we have habits that we might call good habits and habits we might call not so good habits or bad habits. So it starts off by looking at what are the daily things my clients are doing that are for the benefit of their well-being. So it could be diet, it could be their activity or exercise, it could be what are they doing for their mind, body, soul connection, so meditation, or what we said before, getting out in nature. So, like I say to my kids, everything you do for you is for you, whether it's detrimental or whether it's a benefit. And so it's just starting to look at what are the beneficial things and what are the things that you enjoy and love, and making that become an incremental thing that builds up to helping a person, find the path that they truly want to be on, not the one that they've just found themselves on because of circumstances in life. Yeah. I think I answered the question. I feel like I might have gone off track a bit there.
Thank you. It's beautiful. Oftentimes we just go with the flow, or we determine a life based on what our parents wanted for us, or what was more profitable as a choice of career, as opposed to listening and discovering our own path and figuring out what's the right way for us, because we're all different and we have our own unique talents and gifts, and we choose something for the benefit of others, we forget about ourselves, and then we become living a miserable life, always wanting for something different and not feeling fulfilled.
And that also exactly, and also comes from wanting to please, just wanting to please other people by doing the things that we feel like we're expected, and then that's not true gratification, because true gratification comes from doing the things, like I was saying about my craft stuff. Other people might not like what I produce. I don't really care. I'm doing it to make me feel good, right? Like I'm not trying to sell the stuff. So yeah, it's about internal, feeling internally grateful. Yeah. Not having to grasp for that.
Yeah. Is there anything I haven't asked that you would like to share?
Wow. One of my big lessons is that we're always learning, and it doesn't really matter. I mean, everything matters, but we don't just do a course, a one-day course or a 10-year degree and say, right, I've done it. I've got life sorted. And I think one of my biggest learnings, and this is the other thing I'm doing to help people navigate through the daily stuff, which is life, is that there are no mistakes. Like we shouldn't beat ourselves up, because even though we've got the college degree or whatever it might be, a new lesson is going to come every single day. And it's about not being so surprised when that happens. accepting it and just seeing the well, there's a nugget of gold in each one of those, right? And just seeing, because I still have it. Certainly haven't got it all worked out. And my kids show me. They show me every day the next thing I need to learn. And it's usually an adjustment that I need to make on myself. Because we can't control anyone else. So it's about that. It's just constant adjustments of ourselves to just keep, going along. That's it.
Yeah, thank you. I think it is important. And I do agree that we are on continuous learning evolution, just like the layers of the onion. As we learn something, there's a new layer that we can learn.
Yeah.
And it never
Yeah.
really ends. We don't know everything, and we learn, we progress little by little, bit by bit. And everything is a mirror in our experience. And you're so right about children being the teachers of the lesson.
Oh yeah, they gold. They some the comments that I think my kids were lucky that I had such a long career in teaching before I had children, because I find it hard to get offended by something a child says. And even as they got older, I would laugh on the inside, because I'd think, oh, that is just so funny. But they've really made me stop at times and really check my own behavior. Like really, the way as you said before, the way we were brought up it wasn't so long ago that children were to be seen and not heard. And it's not okay. That's just not okay. We do need to listen to them. We do need to acknowledge what they've got to say and let them express their feelings. Like it's so important. And that's why there are so many adults for me to work with, because we've all experienced that as kids. Oh, no, you can't feel sad, don't cry. Or if they're crying, no, you're okay. That you're okay, stop. But instead of being curious and asking and letting them just let it go, so then they're not carrying it, and that's what I've seen my kids, they just say it, and I just go, okay, fine, I get it, I've felt that too. Yeah.
I do that too. Like, I don't get offended, kind of let it go.
Yeah, I mean, there are two options, right? Well, there are three. You let it go, or you look at the lesson in it and learn from it, or you can have the argument. You can have the argument on the fight, and that, I've done that, and it doesn't benefit anyone. It's just, no one feels good when that happens, and it doesn't need to be that way.
Yeah. So. Yeah. If people would like to contact you or learn more about you, where would they go?
Well, the best place at the moment is Facebook for me, and Facebook Messenger. I have an Instagram account as well. So it's Tanya Cheesman Holistic Coach on Instagram, and then it's just Tanya Cheesman on Facebook. So that's it for now. Yeah, I'm building a website, but that's not quite there yet. So yeah.
Awesome. I'm gonna share all the links in episode notes so people can connect directly. Thank you so much for coming and sharing your wisdom, your story, and your lessons. Any final words?
Just thank you. Thank you for the opportunity. And it's always lovely to, be interviewed by someone, because I learn something more about me each time. So, I really appreciate your time.
Thank you. And I appreciate you being here.
Thank you, Irina.